Hello, welcome to Dissident Canada. My name is Tyler, and I am going to take that little bit of a victory lap today with the pipeline saying, yes, I told you so, there would be a pipeline announcement. And here it is. It has come. Is it the best deal? No. Is it a good deal? No. Is it going to be revised later on? Oh, I bet you it will be. But besides the point, I was right, and there's a lot of bad takes out there, and I'm gonna walk through some of them. Now, obviously, I said this deal is bad, and I mean it. It's on paper, it's a bad deal, but considering that Carney ran on super green and wouldn't be pro pipeline and all the normal liberal stuff, and now he has a deal in place to agree to increase exports, allow tankers to come into British Columbia at a higher rate, uh, reducing a whole bunch of regulations at the federal level that prevents Alberta to pump as much. This pipeline project's going through. Like, there is going to be a pipeline. Guarantee it's going to be built by the company, or at least be run by the company that who invested in? Oh, right. Brookfield Asset Management invested a couple months ago into a U.S. pipeline company. Wonder why. The grift gets griftier. But, anyways, I just want to quickly mention there's some fallout. The former environmental minister, what's his name? It's Stephen Guilbeault, whatever. The environmental eco terrorist that the government has forgiven and decided not to lock up in jail for the rest of his life for, being a bad guy. Anyways, he was resigned from the cabinet. He is using this as an excuse. He was likely going to be rotated out, as you can see with Carney slowly over time rotating and pushing out Trudeau's former cabinet minister, because they were there as a transition of power and nothing more, didn't have any real power, to so to speak. And now Carney's going to start bringing in his team of people, which should absolutely terrify everybody, because Carney is a central banker, and he's a pragmatic central banker who is an authoritarian at heart and has but one ideology, and that is anything that gets me power. So, especially with who he rotates in as, say, finance minister finally, when that happens, that's when everybody should be really panicking about that. But, anyways, there's been a lot of takes on this deal that it was like, I saw one that was really dumb. It was a 4D chess move by Carney being like, oh yeah, see, this opens up because of the climate emissions, and what's going to happen is that, Alberta's going to increase their carbon tax on the federal level. Like, this is just a brilliant move by Carney. You'll get all these pipelines, but like, it'll be real control. I can't keep up with these people with their dumb takes. I'm going to be absolutely honest with you. I can't, because why would he do that? Like, it's bad strategy. He already won, or not he, but the Liberals have already won on the carbon tax front. They removed the line item that you see at, say, the gas pump saying carbon tax, hit it behind so that it's hitting not the consumers directly, but indirectly. Like, he's already outplayed you all, and now you're coming up with dumb shit like this. To be honest, I think he's going to roll back the carbon tax within 3 years. He's going to shift it. The only reason he's not is because he needs the revenue to deal with this scam. But, like, for the most part, okay, maybe 3 years is a little optimistic. If he stays in long enough, it won't be called a carbon tax. It'll probably be rebranded, and it won't have to do with carbon, but there'll be like some replacement tax. And the reason is because he needs it to. He needs revenue. He is not dogmatic on climate. I know people are like reading his book and whatever. It was a ghost-written book, for fuck's sakes. Carney doesn't write. He barely gives speeches. Okay? The only thing that matters to him is the tax revenue. It's why he's pushing for Alberta on the back end there with the carbon stuff, the carbon tax. That's what that's all about. It's because he needs revenue, because he knows what's happening in the banking system. Okay? Like, don't kid yourself. Like, Canada is going to be not as, say, open for business as, say, the United States, but it's going to be opened for business to a certain degree. And we have continually seen that with Carney trying to go out and make deals outside of the United States. The United States deal will likely come. It's going to take a while, and it requires a lot of precision maneuvering. But this deal is a win-win for both. Danielle Smith gets to parade around, and to those who are not super politically into things, all right, it'd be like, oh man, she won against the feds. Meanwhile, the feds get to say, look, I got major concessions from Alberta. Alberta's going to stay in Confederation. I was about to say Union. I'm like, nope, that's the American term. In Confederation. Like, again, Carney keeps chipping away at the Alberta separatist movement by percentage points, which, when you considering they have to win by likely 8 points to win by 2, because that vote, the vote that matters, the second round, is not going to be on the up and up. The first round isn't going to be on the up and up either, but the second one is where the knives come out. But anyways, this pipeline is likely to get built. You don't start talking about going overseas and going to meeting with places like Indonesia, whatever, on that tour where he was with Trump, and Trump was touring that area of the world too. Like, Carney is dangerous because he's pragmatic, and because he's a central banker, all right? You have to think about, don't think of Carney as a dogmatic, leftist liberal that, follows the news, and the news is the guiding thing. You have to think about him as a central banker, and it's why he's dangerous. Because central bankers, okay, will tell you one thing to your face, all right, for years, and then on a dime, switch it around and say the exact opposite, while nothing has systematically changed. As you can tell with how central bankers are acting right now, nothing has fundamentally changed in the banking system for 3 years, except it getting worse. Okay? The underlying conditions are the exact same for the most part, other than it, again, being worse. All right? The cracks were there in private credit 3 years ago. The cash flow problems were there 3 years ago. In the spring, it'll be 3 years since the mini banking crisis that happened in 23. Okay? Nothing has gotten better. And what were they gaslighting about? Okay? Just, Carney is those type of people, all right? He is dogmatic in his belief of power and projection. This is what this pipeline deal gets him. Okay? Now, in the deal, there's somewhere that Carney mentions that the federal government is, he's not going to be backing this if this pipeline gets built. It's going to be 100% privately funded. I guarantee that's not true. I guarantee that's not true. Now, it may be there'll be money laundering involved where it's going through this one company for this thing to this other company to the actual pipeline company. But money will most likely be coming to the feds for this, like without a doubt. Um, and as for people being like, oh, but the premier BC Ebby and the indigenous consultations are going to be ongoing, and that it doesn't matter what they say. The feds have leverage on everybody, and they'll all get a taste. Okay, like the indigenous councils around the world, they're not dogmatic enough. They just want power. Like the entire political apparatus in Canada is all set up around what gets me power. A pipeline running through your territory gives you a lot of leverage. I know, like MB, the premier out in BC is quite dogmatic in pretending about his green beliefs and everything. It doesn't matter. He'll cave. He will get paid off. You'll probably see the direct payoff, but you'll also see like family members of his get cushy jobs or start doing unbelievably well at stock trading because they're getting tips from someone somewhere that knows what they're doing. Like, this is how it goes over and over and over again. Like, the same people out there telling you right now after this bad deal has been signed. Again, it's a bad deal on paper. I just think all the bad stuff isn't really going to come to fruition. Or it's not that big of a deal. Like, the carbon tax thing, it's bad, get me wrong, but it's not as big of a barrier as you think it is. Anyways, like everybody out there screaming right now saying there will be no pipeline are the same assholes who are out there ignoring the signs of the last Jesus, I forget when the election was, but from whenever the election is till now, however many months that was, of Carney slowly shifting from extremely dogmatic on the green front to pragmatism. Okay? These people, all right, that are out there screaming, oh, there won't be any pipeline built, are the exact same type of dogmatic as the left. Their view is incorrect. They have assessed Carney incorrectly. They were proven to be fucking fools, right? And they're out there still acting like fucking fools. Plain and simple. Carney is dangerous not because of his dogma. He's dangerous because he's a pragmatic central banker that is adept at gaslighting people and running extremely effective propaganda. If you don't understand the propaganda of central banks, I highly recommend you go take a look at the work done by Jeff Snyder, George Gammon. To be real good, George Gammon has Rebel Capitalist, I think it's interviews, where he interviews his friends, and you can really see in those interviews, because they're with people who are mostly deep within the financial system. He just had a recent one. One of his hedge fund buddies came on, and there's a little ripping of the Fed in there, and it's like because they don't know what they're propagandists. They're not controllers of the economy. So, anyways, like this pipeline has to get built for Carney because Canada is in such a bad position. Carney understands debt, all right, better than most of the people criticizing him. He is going to make it so that he can service the debt. How is he going to do that? He's already got planned investments from like a few Middle Eastern countries. I believe, what was the one? Was it last week or the week before? It was either from the United Arab Emirates or the Saudis, where it was like 60 or 70 billion dollar investment in like critical mineral infrastructure, so mining. Like, people just, they don't understand Carney. Don't get me wrong, he is an evil guy, like Trudeau, right? They were both evil SOBs. The problem is, Carney is better at being evil, right? He's more in line with a Machiavelli than a Trudeau. Trudeau was a stupid fool, all right? All over the place. The only thing he had going for him is that he was, his demeanor was somewhat charming to a large enough population of Canadians. What Carney has going for him is he's pragmatic and he understands the banking system, and he can look at Canada and go, what are our assets, what are our liabilities, and how does it get me control? Him having control over this pipeline, massive future extortions from BC and Alberta. Okay? Now, you still got the separatist movement in Alberta, and you'll have that for years to come. But he's trying to buy time, and that's what this does. Same with Smith. Smith does not want to leave Confederation. She wants to run Confederation. This deal helps her get it. All right? People are looking at this deal from, again, incorrect perspectives of like the lefty loons and you know, like your average leftist that you're going to run into while going to the grocery store, and they flip out because they see an American flag or some dumb shit like that. All right? That's not who's in charge of these things. They don't get up that far. Like, again, Carney is probably not the puppet master that some people believe he is. He is another puppet. Like, everybody in the public face, for the most part, is a puppet in Canadian politics. There's someone behind them. Or even the way politics works, everybody's at least somewhat of a puppet master. So even the public facing. But they have power factions that they have to satisfy. And what you are seeing is a shift in who's going to get the majority of the grift. It is slowly going to move away from the green sector and into sectors that actually produce something. You can see this at a global scale and global scramble in the context of the West, as they are freaking the ever-living hell out that they are not going to get the resource extraction of Ukraine and Russia like they thought they would. Canada is plan fucking B. Well, Ukraine was plan B, but it's very much looking like, at least from my perspective, Trump's negotiation is going to fail. Not so much because of him, though there is that involved, but because of everybody in the West being a bunch of fucking lunatics when it comes to Russia. So where do they go? They're being slowly driven out of Africa. South America, you don't have the same resources. You got some of them, okay? But you don't have access to energy. They need energy. Was it Carney and Merz signed a deal? Or not signed a deal, but were in the talks of some kind of deal of selling liquid LNG from out east, from pre-existing pipelines, to the Germans. Like, Carney is dangerous, not because he's dogmatic, like more like, you know, Stephen Guilbeault, who is absolutely a maniac and dogmatic loser. Carney's not like that. Carney has shown himself in the last 6 months that he's not like that. Okay? How many times has Carney flipped positions on stuff? everybody should be worried about Carney, but not because of dogmatic leftist beliefs, other than uh, the only thing that matters is that I have power. That is his core belief system. You should be worried about him weaponizing the ever living hell of the banking system when banking bailouts finally come. Okay? Should be worried about whatever mass bailout program he's got cooked up in the back of his mind for when shit really hits the fan in the markets. I mean, if it does. I'm not entirely sure that it can happen anymore. But if passive cracks, right? If passive investment flows crack, just watch the market. You could have months. If passive cracks, you could have months of on the daily breakers being cut on trading. Like, you could have the entire market just be all the breakers being tripped at the New York Stock Exchange. Like, it could be that bad of a bloodbath in the markets. But again, if I get back on topic, like, you've got a reduction / elimination of federal cap on oil and gas sector greenhouse emissions. You've got an increase in output. You've got tanker ban adjustments. Like, it's going slowly in this direction of pro oil and gas. Now, Carney's not doing it to be pro oil and gas. He's doing it because he needs revenue, because he's going to spend, and by spend I mean create debt like a drunken sailor, and he needs to service it. All right? That's the problem that Carney is facing, and he knows how to solve that math equation because he was first an investment banker and then a fucking central banker twice over. He knows what he's doing when it comes to finance in MMT territory. And as much as the Austrians hate to admit it, MMT is closer to correct than what the Austrians think it is. As you can see by Japan, the fact that Japan was able to hold on through pseudo MMT, it's close enough that you're going to call it MMT, but it's close enough that Japan held on for 30 fucking years of real negative growth. Okay? The world's not that far behind Japan when it comes to real negative growth. All right? Which would be, accounting for the fact that if you're below 4% GDP growth a year, you're technically negative because your debt servicing becomes such of a burden, you have no real growth. Anyways, I would suspect, okay? I was looking at a timeline for like when they could get pipeline approval. I'm saying 12 to 18 months. Or Carney stated that it could lead to pipeline proposals within 12 to 18 months. Pending environmental assessments. Okay? I think it's faster than that. I think he's slow rolling by saying that. Now, for the most part, this is a non-binding legal agreement. Okay? So, could stuff fall through? Absolutely. It's one of the reasons why I'm saying while they signed it, it's not legally binding. So all the agreements can be fucking rolled back. Everybody can be told to go fuck themselves. And to be honest, Smith has some leverage still that she can play and get massive concessions. And Carney probably knows that and will probably give her those concessions, especially when it comes to, say, carbon tax. When it comes time, because he's a pragmatic motherfucker. Anyways, that's the video for today. This is a bad pipeline deal. Not because of so much what's written, but it shows who Carney is. And the fact that Danielle Smith is a political operator that does not give a flying F about her constituents, but knows that she can use this to get power. Just watch her. I think when her term is up, all right, she takes whatever break there is, okay, joins the CPC and runs for leadership, right? That's her next move in all likeliness. Or maybe she runs for another term because she wants more experience or whatever. But she is going to make the jump at some point to federal politics, and she'll probably win as a conservative, to be honest. She might be the only conservative politician. Conservative. Let's just put that small, we really have to put that when we're talking about Canadian politicians on the right. But she's likely the only right-wing politician right now that has a chance in hell of actually winning. And as the dogs need attention, I hope you had an interesting time. I have stuff to go deal with. Until next time on Monday, have a good day.